Okay, so it seems like there's been more stuff going on with Bao. Now, this obviously is not really the fault of Bao anymore, but it's more the community's reaction to a lot of this stuff that has been going on lately. And, well, obviously, if you don't remember, a couple of weeks ago, essentially Bao made a couple of posts which angered quite a lot of people, right? And I think that many people had many different opinions about this, whether it was they were on Bao's side, whether they weren't on Bao's side. At the end of the day, I don't think it really matters anymore. This is, it's been like, what, weeks now? This drama has been going on for way too long. And obviously, Bao did put out a slight apology and also kind of put out a thing saying that she was going to be going live for her birthday and also for a stream where essentially she was raising money for the Brain Injury Association of America after revealing that apparently her, brother or like brother-in-law kind of thing got into a crash and wanted to raise money for that, as well as her aunt was having some struggles as well, which obviously was terrible to hear. And there was many posts like this which we covered, which was spreading quite a bit of misinformation about Bao, because as I said, you're totally okay to, criticize her for her tweets and stuff, but I do think you need to get the information right whenever it comes to criticizing her, as this person tried to claim that she posted this in January, but it turns out obviously this was the 1st of November, as this is in like an EU format, like a UK kind of format rather than the US one, which would read the other way around. And obviously I gave them the benefit of the doubt, saying like, of course it's an easy mix up. Sometimes people can just get a little bit carried away with it. But again, they still haven't removed the post, which does make me think that, hey, maybe they should have done something, either removed it or edited it or done something, because there is an edit feature over on Twitter, or just kind of, they did provide a follow-up on their page with a quote retweet. But again, this information is already here, and people seeing this tweet, obviously, they're just going to believe this, and they might not see the other quote retweets that come after that. So yeah, I do think, something should have been done there. But essentially, there's been more people talking about this with the whole storm that has been going on with Bao. Obviously, she hasn't gone live since that charity stream that she did, by the way, which, yeah, she has been losing quite a lot of followers, over, 1.5 thousand, close to that now, considering all the other stuff, and also considering the fact that this also factors in the amount of followers gained. So the followers gained has actually been less than the followers lost. So yeah, again, she could have had like 4,000 followers gained, and say that she actually, she could have lost over 6,000 followers, which obviously shows us 1.366, which is pretty insane, right? But again, there's been people commenting on this mysterious figure post, which obviously has been kind of, brewing up in the community, right? And this is one of the posts that I stumbled across over on Reddit, essentially, coming from Flocky, one of the people who obviously had that comment written about them by Shondo, and Shondo eventually apologized to them about it, which again was all great to see, and it seems like Flocky did that pretty well as well. But yeah, essentially, they said Bao re-entering the fray, avoiding all responsibility and running a charity is interesting. If her brother was hit a week ago and so busy, why was she spurging out on X/Twitter? Why didn't it come up in her crash out? I have questions, which I think is an understandable kind of thing to say. I think, honestly, there is some questions to be raised as to, why is she spending her time on, Twitter and Twitch, but also at the same time, you got to remember that this is kind of her job. She does still need to carry on. I think many of you guys know, even if something terrible happens, sometimes you still have to clock into work, right? But again, I think Bao's in I don't know what kind of situation she's in. So again, I don't know whether that is something that she has to do or doesn't have to do. But again, I do think potentially that could be a reason as to why she was continuing to do stuff over on Twitch and Twitter. But again, as well, saying stuff like, why didn't it come up in her crash out? Again, I could see, her not wanting to mention any of this and stuff. I think that it is more of a personal thing. I don't think there's anything like kind of damning here that's just like, oh, wow, I can't believe she didn't mention it or anything like that, which I think, yeah, it's pretty interesting. And again, in terms of the actual kind of avoiding all responsibility, she did put out like a little bit of a response over on her Twitter a couple of days ago, essentially saying she hadn't been acting herself and stuff like that, which obviously, yeah, wasn't the best of responses at all. I think she does avoid a little bit of accountability, but at the same time, I do think, she does, explain what really is going on in terms of like her mental and stuff. And I don't think running a charity is, it's the saying, and running a charity is interesting. Again, I don't think she's running a charity. She's raising money for a charity, which I think obviously is a good thing. I think she's done the right thing there in terms of, making a good situation. I think the charity stream was actually a good idea, right? And then they also include this other comment here, which I thought was the more interesting one, essentially saying there seems to be some confusion. Yes, it's very possible this happened to her brother, and as such, I hope for the best for him. Yes, charity is good, but it could also be a deflection. So essentially, they're trying to imply here that, she's trying to deflect a lot of the kind of, drama and controversy around her by doing a charity stream. Now, potentially, that could also be a small part of it, but also at the same time, I don't think, Bao is one of these people that is just going to, do a charity stream because it makes her look better in the eyes of people. I think genuinely she has had something, terrible go on in her life, and she wants to obviously raise some money for it. And again, it seems like it's something that she actually cares about, right? I don't think it is a deflection for a lot of the stuff that has been going on. It does work as a very good deflection. Don't get me wrong. It does, it does actually help to, I guess, improve her image, right? But I don't think that was the sole reason behind obviously starting up this stream, right? They say, no, that doesn't excuse her actions at all, which, 100% true. I don't think, any of the stuff that's happened to her personally excuses what she, was saying on Twitter and stuff. So again, that is true. And said, no, that doesn't mean she isn't responsible for her statements. Yeah, but again, I do think, obviously, the kind of comments about saying that, it could be a deflection was pretty interesting. And I don't think, she's obligated to speak about any of the situation during the time that she was going pretty insane over on Twitter, right? But again, people have been commenting on this saying, I'm not even a Bao fan, and even criticized her during the past week for how stupid she's been. But there's a time and place for this. He's trying to create even more drama over Bao, raising money for a good cause, and trying to speculate her intentions without any proof. And if he actually looked into it, he would have known that she planned it before the drama. But no, he just wants to be a bitter, miserable git. This person is definitely British. Oh my god! Said he got a called an insult online, and all of a sudden, the entire internet comes to his defense because it hurt his feelings. Boo-hoo! No one cared about nobody before this whole stuff, and no one will care about him after. Which, again, obviously, this person seems to be pretty upset by this. And I do think, there is some kind of statements there, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, saying that it could be a deflection. Again, I think, obviously, they're saying here that it was planned before the drama. Again, I'm unsure on how true that is. But again, I could see it being planned before that because, obviously, it was also a birthday stream as well. But, obviously, the crash only happened recently. So I'm unsure on how long it was in the works for. And obviously the main sentiment that is going around at the moment is that a lot of people are kind of fed up of this being dragged, right? This is not like even necessarily kind of the situation of like, oh, this person's doing this and this person's doing that anymore. It's like people are just saying, okay, right, we're kind of fed up of this now. Can we just let Bao going back to streaming? Which honestly, I think, is the, correct response here. I do think it's being dragged on and on and on a little bit. To the point where it's getting a little bit crazy, right? I think a lot of people are fed up of what is going on, and people saying, the Skep drama was somehow even dumber than the previous controversy. People were acting like a tweet was going to ruin their business. That I don't think 90% of the people who got upset about it on Twitter had even heard of it before. People just like to be angry, which, I do think was true. There's a lot of people that was, kind of jumping on it. And again, I do think, people are allowed to hold her accountable for a lot of that kind of stuff, right? With the tweets and all of the statements that she made. But I think, whenever it comes to like now, we're weeks on from this and all of this has been going on. I think, honestly, it is just the time to call it quits and just be like, okay, let's just carry on with what we were doing and just, go separate ways or whatever. Because I think kind of trying to drag Bao over this is obviously only going to make her situation worse. And obviously just try to starve the community, which I just don't think is the best kind of plan, at least for the, kind of future and what's going on at the moment. Because I do think Bao doing that charity stream is a good idea. Obviously, it worked very well as she raised a lot of money as she put up on her Twitter. So again, I don't think there is any problem with her doing a charity stream. And I think obviously people trying to drag her over that, it's pretty insane, right? I think let's just take off the tinfoil hat for a minute and let's just get back to, obviously supporting that. And again, if you don't want to support her, that's totally fine too. Again, it's either way. You know, you can do whatever you want, but let's just try not to, you know, do all of this random like dragging weeks and weeks on, right? But yeah, that's all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also go to GameStop, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. They got some new cups and stuff. I recently got this one, which was really cool. It's the new Halloween one, which looks pretty sick. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. I've also got the shirt on too, which is very nice. But they got some nice stuff, so I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.